Next to abdomen, now I am going to introduce the structures of the thorax. This section is a section at the level of the thorax. So in the thorax, this section, we can see the two larger dark colored structure. These two are the lungs, one right lung, one left lung. And if we go from posterior to anterior side, here you can see the vertebra. This is the vertebral body of the thoracic vertebra, and in it there is a foramen called vertebral foramen. In the foramen you can see the spinal cord, the section of spinal cord which is surrounded by the meninges. And on each side of the vertebra behind here, we can see the muscles of the back, and this is the spine of the thoracic vertebra. And in front of it, we can see the muscular structure having a lumen, this one. So this is the esophagus. The esophagus starts at the level of 6 cervical vertebra from the pharyngoesophageal junction, and it ends in the stomach at the cardiac orifice. Total length of esophagus is about 25 centimeter, and it is having mainly 3 parts. Cervical part, it is 4 centimeter, then thoracic part, the longest part, it is 20 centimeter, and abdominal part, the smallest part, it is about 1 centimeter. But throughout its length, it is having total 4 constrictions. First constriction at the level of C6 vertebra at the pharyngoesophageal junction, and second constriction at the level of T4 vertebra where it is crossed by the arch of the aorta, and third constriction at the level of T6 vertebra where it is crossed by the left bronchus, and the fourth one where it enters into the diaphragm, it is at the level of 10 thoracic vertebra. So there are 4 constrictions. And on the left side of the esophagus, here you can see a larger lumen, and the wall is thick, and it is the descending thoracic aorta. So in this section we can see also the ascending aorta. This is the section of the ascending aorta. We can see here the 3 cusps, 1 anterior and 2 posterior aortic sinus. So this is the opening for the aortic sinus. So ascending aorta will start from here. So ascending aorta, then arch of aorta we cannot see in this section, but we can see the descending aorta just by the left side of the esophagus. In front of esophagus, here we can see a sinus or space, this one, and this space is open in the inferior side. In front of the sinus there is a large opening. This is the opening of the left atrium. So behind the left atrium we can see the pericardial sinus, and it is oblique pericardial sinus. On just right to the and anterior to the left atrium, here is the right atrium. We can introduce my finger in the right atrium. This is right atrium. Can you see? Yes, this is the right atrium. And in between this right atrium and left atrium, this one is the interatrial septum. So in front of this left atrium, here this is the, I told you, aortic sinus, and ascending aorta starts from here. And in front of it, this is the right ventricle. That means right atrium and right ventricle, if we introduce my finger through this, we can reach the right ventricle here. We can see, I can touch my finger here. That means it is right ventricle. Though this finger is passing through the right atrioventricular orifice. And on left side, where we cannot see the left ventricle, but if I introduce my finger through this opening, there is bicuspid opening, my finger reaches into the left ventricle here. So here is the left ventricle. My finger is in the left atrium. So in between the right ventricle and left ventricle, which is not seen in this section, is the interventricular septum. And this right ventricular wall, it is thinner than the left ventricular wall, and on each side we can see the lung, and there are so many multiple openings are there. They are due to the openings for the different branches of the bronchus and bronchioles and blood vessels. And in front of it we can see the fibrous pericardium, and here the right pulmonary vein, it enters into the left atrium, and in front of it we can see the midline is the sternum, and on each side we can see the costal cartilage articulating with the sternum, and in front of it on both sides we can see the large muscle on this side and on this side. These two are the pectoralis major muscle. And if we go on sides, we can see this is the cut section of the ribs. This is one cut section of rib, this is another one, this is another one, and in between these ribs, this is the intercostal space which is occupied by the intercostal muscles. From outside inwards, external intercostal, then internal intercostal, then inner side, it is the innermost intercostal. On inner side, this fossa is the endothoracic fossa which is fused with the parietal layer of the pleura. And in between the internal and innermost intercostal, we will get three important structures in the intercostal space, and these three structures from above downwards are intercostal vein, intercostal artery, and the intercostal nerve. Here we cannot see the trachea or the bifurcation of trachea. We know the trachea bifurcates at the level of the fourth thoracic vertebra at the level of sternal angle, but we cannot see the trachea, means this section it is below the level of sternal angle or fourth thoracic vertebra.